It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Chaos Sonic 1.
And these are all actually from Chaos Sonic 1's friend Brown Phantom. So let's get right into
But
them.
the episode itself is sponsored by Chaos Sonic 1.
Indeed. Here we go. We know your policy toward fan ideas, but what are some fan ideas of your own? Thoughts you will never be allowed to make canon, but have wondered about just for the fun of it.
I am now in a position where if I feel like I have an idea for the Sonic canon, I can pitch it. Now it goes to more than one person. It is deliberated on by committee and then has to go through approvals from that. So it's not like I'm rewriting the canon willy-nilly.
Oh no, you've become the mandates.
I'm just in the room where it happens. The room where it happens. The room where it happens.
I know, but the joke is that you are the mandates.
I know.
You are the mandates. Yeah. Become the mandates, Ian. Do it.
You either die or you live long enough to become the mandates. So I don't want to really get into it here because it might actually become something one day, you know?
Yeah. What about headcanons for other things, though? Fan ideas that aren't Sonic.
I'm allowed to think of something that isn't Sonic. Egad.
Maybe not, but I'm letting you, so screw the rules.
I joke, but when was the last time I was actually able to just geek out on something and get into fanon?
Genshin? Maybe.
Yeah, there's theory crafting there, but now I'm kind of gun shy about it because now that Fontaine has started up, I was totally sure where so many of the plot threads were going, and they didn't at all. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll just sit here and enjoy the ride then, shan't I?
Yeah.
I mean, depending on when this episode airs, I think it's pretty clear where they're going with Novelette, but if 4.1 comes out and they pull a hard left turn and surprise me, well, par for the course.
Oh, well. If Starline had enough time and resources to do so, what would he have created after Surgeon Kit?
He didn't have anything else on his agenda. They were the pieces for his master plan, and had that succeeded, then the plan would have gone from there. It's possible that as things fell into place, he might need another actor upon his stage, in which case he might make another infiltrator, duplicate, knockoff, whatever you want to call him. But he didn't really have a next step. It was eliminate Sonic and Tails, take control of the Eggman Empire, and then orchestrate the status quo. That was the plan.
All right. Let's say Sonic Speed did nothing against the metal virus and he turned into a complete Zombot near the beginning. Would he still have been fast, or would he have been as slow as the other Zombots?
He would have been fast. He wouldn't have had the facilities to use his trademark speed in any way that Sonic would normally think to use his speed, but he would be inherently faster than any of the other regular Zombots. The same way Shadow was still extremely fast, despite having lost his consciousness.
The last thing
he would be
want.
a fast zombie.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want. You don't want any of them fast zombies. No. Ooh. If Sonic had in fact become a Zombot early on, how different would the Metal Virus arc have been for the other characters?
I think there would have been a degree of hopelessness earlier on, desperation at the very least.
Yeah.
And he would be this ever-present kind of boogeyman, because he wouldn't have the focus to actively attack strategic targets, but he would be constantly moving. So you would never really know when he would show up and make a bad situation worse.
Well, that's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Who could survive that? Would it have to be like? Would you have to make Shadow be the one who survives instead, so he can then team up with Silver and that they do the thing that saves him, or would it just be like
that could be one way?
Would it just be like Silver comes back and he's like, "Well, I dealt with it. I dealt with this in my timeline currently. I dealt with a post-apocalyptic world. Time to do it again.
Silver just gives up. Silver's a good color.
Oh no. Oh no. The whole world becomes zombots. Terrifying. In another timeline, Mr. Tinker to avoid being turned back into Dr. Eggman. What happens next? Wow, I went dark.
Mamma mia!
Yeesh.
Wow. Even that's dark for Ian Flynn.
I would chastise, but I'd be more of a hypocrite than I already am. So, okay, Mr. Tinker's in Starline's lab and decides to make a horrible decision. Well, Starline's plans would be ruined, that's for sure. And there would be no metal virus.
No.
Like, Starline might try to pick up the gauntlet to carry on the Eggman Empire, but this would still be early Starline. One who was full of himself, sure, but still fully idolized the ideal of Eggman and would not approach it in the same way he did after their bad breakup. And I think with that idealized worldview, he wouldn't go in, like, he wouldn't pull up the metal virus files and say, oh, I'll try this. He would be kind of combing through Eggman's files, trying to find the right plan to work with and kind of wondering, well, no, these are all flawed. How did he work with any of this? I can't work with any of these plans, or I have to. And he wouldn't want to improve upon them either because he would still be holding them sacred. So he might just kind of get burned out and give up. Metal Sonic wouldn't be repaired, so he would still be fairly neutralized. And you would have the roving bands of badniks that could get mopped up easy enough. So basically world peace.
You figure Starline would say, I can rebuild him.
I don't know if we want to go into necromancy with Starline.
How many times did Surgeon Kit technically die while they were being created
that
and
is a question
brainwashed?
I don't want to answer. And you know what's even worse? How badly Belle took it that she lost Tinker to Eggman.
Yeah.
If she lost Tinker, period.
Oh boy. New villain time. Are there any characters you would redesign if given the chance to? If so, who and why?
There's a fair number I would tinker with. I feel like Shadow and Silver are over-designed in a lot of ways. The Babylon Rogues are critically over-designed, and I will be forever mad that they didn't go with the wing hands and the talon boots from the earlier concepts. Those looked so good.
Yeah, they look way cooler.
Standard Mickey Mouse gloves are awful. It's just,
They look way cooler with the bird wings hands. Yeah, absolutely.
And while it might be somewhat sacrilegious, I would almost want to tinker with Sonic to bring him more in line with Shadow and Silver's design standards, because now he's the odd one out. It's 2 against 1,
I guess. Unless Amy also is... Does Amy fall in line more with Sonic? I mean, she has the tan arms.
Maybe. And I'd almost want to give Amy something closer to her Boom look as a standard.
Yes.
I don't know. I've never been super fond of the flare skirt and the go-go boots.
The hoop skirt, no. The go-go boots, sure.
Hoop skirt.
Might as well.
Yeah.
But the hoop skirt, they really leaned into that with some of the camera angles when it was first introduced, and it's like, why? Please don't. No. It's like, oof. So luckily that's been toned down quite a lot, but yeah, let's just go boom. Let's just boom a fire.
Or if not the Boom look, then maybe a more direct update of the classic look into something a little more sporty, but still feminine. I mean, she leans into her femininity hard, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Just, I don't know. I've never been super fond of the modern look.
Yeah. Given what we know now in Frontiers, what do you say to the idea of the Gaia temples in Unleashed being retconned into some kind of Megazord Titan?
It is a certainly possible fan idea.
Yes, and now you cannot use it. Not that it was ever going to come up anyway. If you had to create a character called The Beginning as a counter to the end, where would you even start? Well, at the beginning, I assume.
Obviously. Such an original joke, we made it at the exact same time.
We're just that creative. We're just that in sync together, Ian. We're just so cool. We have the same ideas at the same time. So good. So good.
So original.
I
don't know. Maybe from a visual standpoint, if the end itself is kind of a dark, finite moon-like entity. I know it's supposed to be a nebulous form given shape by one's own fears, but what we are given in the game, the thing that we shoot the big ray gun at, is, a moon.
So everyone's terrified of the moon, apparently.
Do something sun-like, star-like, bright and warm and comforting, but not as clearly defined, because it is that dazzling. You can't see the hard core particular. It's just a warm light for all mankind.
I think it would just be big. The beginning. I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
You are not. You are correct.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm finally right about something. Let's say Sega wanted to create a game that took place solely in Blaze's world and had her as the main character dealing with her own threat. What kinds of things would you like to see in such a game? We've talked about this so many times, but it's always a fun
choice.
It's always fun.
Like going to new worlds, or not new worlds, new lands, exploring other islands. Are there other regions under the Emperor or under her within the Empire? Is there new mechanical threats, new political threats, new eldritch threats? Do you focus on just the speed and the platforming, or do you add do you give her a different type of gameplay entirely? Do you get something more diplomatic? Maybe. There's just so many. Her world is just defined enough that you have the foundation to work from, but beyond that, it is just fertile ground for any direction. So again, spoiled for choice.
It's the Blaze Truck Simulator.
The prince is going to put that hammer down.
Driving a truck with her high heels on.
All that, so that maybe it would be best to stick with the Rush style formula, because there's just something inherent to Blaze blasting off in her own fireball. I feel like you need that, You
do. In the Archie series, the Anarchy Barrels had a consequence for their use. I personally always felt that the Chaos Emeralds should have a consequence too. That being them separating after each use, sort of like the Dragon Balls. With that in mind, do the Soul Emeralds have a consequence of their own?
Hard to say. We haven't seen a ton of their implementation, and even then, a lot of it is inferred. But I would hazard a guess it's something along the lines of you have to know what you're doing with them, or it does not work, or it doesn't work the way you want it to. Like Blaze was the Guardian, and the implication seemed to be that this was her job since birth. So she would have been prepared for it, and she was super hands off using them at first. Like she did not want to go there. So it could be that there is a pretty steep penalty for failed user interface with those. I don't know.
Does she have powers without the Soul Emeralds? I
yes.
figured that was the case, but all right.
They are actually unrelated.
Okay, well, how convenient. How convenient that they are unrelated and yet similarly themed. What would happen if someone did the unthinkable and told Big that he wasn't allowed to fish without a license?
He would stare at them with that wide set, lovable blank stare, and that very placid expression would slowly curl into a smile. And then he would laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and then go right back to fishing.
Yeah. Yeah. He wouldn't stop. He would be fishing the whole time. He wouldn't be like, oh, he wouldn't like, reel it in and put the rod away or anything just to confront you. He'd just sit there and just be fishing. Who's going to tell him no?
Or conversely, you tell him, Big, you can't fish. Oh, okay. He packs up, goes home. Next day, he's right back at it.
He's back in the...
You can't fish. What, today too? Yes, at all times, you need to have a license. Oh,
okay.
No.
Okay. No, that's all right.
You begin Big's epic adventure to navigate the bureaucracy to get a fishing license and ends up bringing down the entire society around him.
Too big to fail. There's why he got arrested by gun. That's why he was in the helicopter with Sonic. Oh no, this is Big's big libertarian adventure. If you were asked to have a crossover with one of the other IDW series, which one do you feel the most confident in working with?
Either ponies or turtles. I think those kind of lend themselves to it and are the most obvious go-tos.
Yeah. I think turtles would be the best to see. That would be the most fun. Unfortunately, we're not going to have the chance to see Transformers crossover. So, but ponies could work, I suppose. But I'm down with the turtles. I want to see some turtles. Show me the turtles. I like turtles. The show Sonic Prime, in my opinion, gave us a perfect chance to bring back the Suppression Squad. Obviously a variant instead of the original, but what do you think of the idea either way?
I mean, the evil doppelganger dimension is about as bog standard an alternate reality thing as you can get.
I'm really surprised that there isn't one, technically. Like, just straight up outright. I guess there probably is a reason for that, but still. Why not? Why not? What part of the chili dog does Sonic like more, the chili or the dog?
I think I don't think he can pick.
The bread.
I think it's the concert of the medium. It is the experience of itself.
It's true.
You can't enjoy the travel without the movement. You can't enjoy the movement without the travel. It is the zen of Sonic. The chili is the dog. The dog is the chili.
Yeah, if you're just having the dog without the chili, then you're just having a hot dog, which is fine, but it's just a hot dog. And the chili is just the chili. It's without the dog, it's just chili.
But together they transcend those simple definitions and become something else, something more.
Yes, it's true. As a regular partaker of chili dogs, yes, accurate. And our last question, out of all the various Sonics you've seen, which one would you say is the slowest? Sonic Labyrinth.
That's cheating. You're right, but that's cheating.
Otherwise, Sonic Shuffle.
It's been so long since I've actually seen anything in Underground. I don't remember how fast he's depicted there. And we're also assuming this is like base level Sonic, not with like power rings or chaos emeralds or speed boots or any of that factored in.
Spinball. Frame rate's pretty crummy on that. It's about 20, maybe.
Maybe classic Sonic, just in terms of what he's been shown to do outside of gameplay in other media. He's just really fast. Whereas like Adventures of has cartoon logic speed.
Yeah.
SatAM is pretty darn speedy. Maybe comparable. Underground, I don't remember now. And then like Sonic X and modern Sonic are just stupid fast. And even movie Sonic is incredibly fast in his own right. So maybe classic.
I'd say Sonic Drive-In. What?
I've got no punchline to follow up with. Just the exasperated sigh.
Well, I mean, that's good enough.
And hopefully that was good enough for both Brown Phantom and Chaos Sonic 1. Thank you to Chaos Sonic 1 for sponsoring this BumbleKast Mini. If you want one of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.